Have you ever looked back and quietly wondered, what would my life look like today if I had done just one thing differently? It's a question many of us ask as we get older, often in the stillness of a quiet morning or during a reflective walk through the neighborhood. The truth is, aging doesn't just happen. It's shaped by the small choices we make every day. Some of those choices lead to peace, health, and meaningful connections. Others, though they may seem harmless at first, can slowly chip away at our well-being, leaving us with regrets we never saw coming. You might not realize it, but things like skipping your daily walk, avoiding phone calls from friends, or brushing off financial planning could be doing more damage than you think. These habits don't seem dangerous in the moment, but over time, they can quietly lead to loneliness, money problems, and even health issues that could have been prevented. And the hardest part? Many people don't even notice the decline until it's too late to fix easily. That's why this video is so important. We're going to talk about 5 of the biggest and most overlooked mistakes people make as they age. Mistakes that can slowly destroy the quality of life in ways you might not expect. Some of them may surprise you, but once you see them clearly, you'll also see how to avoid them and how to build a stronger, happier, more independent life. So if you care about protecting your future, your health, and your peace of mind, I encourage you to stay with me until the very end. You might just walk away with the one insight that changes everything. Let's begin with the first and perhaps most overlooked mistake, neglecting your physical health. It rarely starts with anything dramatic. No one wakes up one morning and decides to give up on their well-being. It usually begins with something small, skipping a morning walk because the weather's a little too cold, grabbing a processed snack instead of a balanced meal because it's more convenient, or putting off a doctor's appointment because you feel fine. But these small decisions, repeated day after day, quietly add up. Over time, they can steal your strength, drain your energy, and slowly make your daily life more difficult than it needs to be. Many people assume that feeling tired, stiff, or unsteady is just part of getting older, but that's not the full story. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, more than 1 in 4 Americans aged 65 and older fall each year, and 1 in 5 of those falls causes a serious injury like a broken bone or head trauma. What's more, the National Institute on Aging reports that muscle mass decreases by about 3% to 8% per decade after the age of 30, and the rate of loss accelerates after age 60. That loss isn't just getting old. Much of it comes from not using the muscles we still have. When we stop moving, we start losing. And when we lose too much strength or balance, even simple tasks, standing up from a chair, reaching into a cabinet, walking to the mailbox, can become exhausting, even dangerous. Take someone like Helen, a 72-year-old retired teacher. She was always active in her working years, but after retirement, she slowly fell out of her routine. Mornings turned into hours on the couch. Meals became mostly frozen dinners. She told herself it was fine. She was just relaxing, enjoying the freedom. But within a year, she noticed her legs felt weaker, her balance was off, and stairs became a challenge. A minor trip in her kitchen left her with a fractured wrist. Her doctor gently told her, "This wasn't just a clumsy moment. This is your body asking for help." That moment became her wake-up call. The good news is, your body is still capable of healing, strengthening, and rebuilding at any age. Studies have shown that even adults in their 80s and 90s can regain muscle and improve balance through regular strength training and moderate exercise. You don't need a gym membership or expensive equipment. Just 15 to 30 minutes a day of walking, stretching, or using resistance bands can improve mobility and prevent falls. Simple chair exercises, Tai Chi, and light weightlifting can help maintain independence, reduce joint pain, and even lift your mood. But movement is only half the equation. Nutrition plays a critical role too, especially as we age. Many seniors believe they need less nutrition because they eat less, but in reality, older adults often need more protein, calcium and vitamin D to preserve muscle, protect bones, and support overall vitality. The National Academy of Medicine recommends that adults over 65 get at least 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, far more than many people realize. Without it, you risk losing the muscle you need to stay active and independent. Likewise, processed foods high in sodium and sugar can lead to high blood pressure, diabetes, and fatigue that makes you feel much older than you are. Lastly, don't underestimate the power of regular checkups. It's tempting to avoid the doctor unless something feels wrong. But by the time symptoms appear, the problem may already be serious. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, and early stages of osteoporosis often show no signs. That's why routine screenings are essential. They're not a chore. They're a chance to catch problems early when they're easiest to fix. So if you've been putting your health on the back burner, now is the time to bring it forward. Start small. Take a short walk after lunch. Swap out one processed snack for fruit or nuts, or make that appointment you've been postponing. These aren't just small steps. They're investments in your future strength, stability, and freedom. Remember, taking care of your body isn't about trying to stop time. It's about making sure you can keep doing the things you love for as long as possible. Just as caring for your physical health lays the foundation for independence, energy, and safety, staying socially connected is equally vital, and yet one of the most heartbreaking mistakes people make in later life is slowly withdrawing from others. It usually doesn't feel like a big decision at first. You might skip a family gathering because you're tired, let a few phone calls go unanswered, or tell yourself that your friends are probably too busy to talk. Maybe you start thinking, they'll call me if they need me. But little by little, this pattern of pulling back becomes the norm. Weeks turn into months, and before you know it, you've built a quiet wall around yourself. What many people don't realize is that this kind of social isolation doesn't just affect your mood. It can deeply damage your physical and mental health. In fact, according to the National Institute on Aging, loneliness and social isolation are linked to higher risks of heart disease, high blood pressure, anxiety, depression, and even Alzheimer's disease. One major study from Brigham Young University found that chronic loneliness can be as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That's a staggering comparison, and it shows just how powerful human connection really is. Humans are social by nature. We don't just want relationships, we need them to stay mentally sharp, emotionally resilient, and physically strong. When we stop interacting with others, our brains are less stimulated, our emotions flatten, and our motivation dwindles. Without that sense of belonging, it becomes easier to slip into habits of passivity, sadness, or even hopelessness. Think of someone like Ray, a 75-year-old widower who used to be very involved in his church and community. After his wife passed away, he began turning down invitations. He convinced himself that people didn't want to be around someone who was grieving. As time went on, the silence in his home grew louder. His sleep worsened, his energy dropped, and the sparkle in his conversations faded. It wasn't until his daughter encouraged him to join a local gardening club that something began to shift. Being around others who shared his interests reminded him that life wasn't over. It was just waiting to be lived in a new way. His mood improved, his memory got sharper, and for the first time in years, he laughed without forcing it. One of the most common misconceptions among older adults is that loneliness is just a normal part of aging. It's not. It's a warning sign, just like chest pain or high blood sugar. If you've started to feel disconnected, it's not too late to turn things around. Even small steps can have a huge impact. Try calling a friend once a week. Join a book club, an art class, or a walking group in your area. Reach out to your local community center or place of worship. Many offer events designed specifically for older adults. And don't be afraid to initiate. Often, the people you think are too busy are feeling just as lonely and waiting for someone to reach out. Technology can also be a powerful tool for staying in touch, but it's one many seniors shy away from. That's understandable. Learning something new can feel overwhelming. But even basic skills like sending a text, making a video call, or using social media to see photos from family can create a lifeline to those you love. There are free classes at libraries, senior centers, and online designed to help older adults get comfortable with these tools. You don't need to become a tech expert. You just need enough to stay connected. It's important to remember that relying solely on family for companionship can lead to disappointment. Loved ones may care deeply, but still be busy with their own lives. That's why building a circle of support, neighbors, old friends, new acquaintances, or even friendly strangers, is so important. Multiple sources of connection create a richer, more stable emotional life. So ask yourself, when was the last time you reached out first? When did you last make someone smile, or let them make you smile in return? You don't need dozens of people, you just need a few good ones who remind you that you matter, because you do. Staying socially engaged isn't about being busy, it's about being connected to purpose, to laughter, to shared memories, and new ones waiting to be made. And the beautiful truth is, it's never too late to reach out, reconnect, and let the light back in. Just as isolation can quietly pull us away from the people we care about, there's another silent mistake that can leave us feeling equally lost: refusing to adapt to change. It's one of those traps that sneaks up on you. After decades of doing things a certain way, it's easy to say, "Why should I change now?" You might resist new technology, ignore new health advice, or struggle to accept the way the world and the people in it are evolving. But here's the hard truth. The world will keep moving forward with or without us. And the more we resist it, the more isolated, frustrated, and vulnerable we become. This resistance isn't just about technology or trends. It's about the mindset that says, "I'm too old to learn that," or "That's not for me." And when that mindset takes hold, it limits our independence, our safety, and even our joy. According to a study by Pew Research Center, nearly 4 out of 10 seniors aged 65 and up say they never use the internet, and yet more and more essential services like banking, healthcare appointments, and even communication with loved ones are going online. Refusing to adapt doesn't protect us. It actually puts us at greater risk of being excluded, misinformed, or even scammed because we don't know how to navigate the modern world. Take the story of Marjorie, a 74-year-old woman living alone with no children. She had always been fiercely independent and proud of her self-sufficiency. But over time, she began feeling left behind. She couldn't check her bank account without waiting for a paper statement. She missed messages from her doctor because she didn't use email. When her neighbor invited her to a community Zoom call, she didn't even know where to begin. Slowly, that sense of independence turned into isolation and frustration. She felt invisible. It wasn't until a kind volunteer at the library offered to teach her the basics of using a tablet that things began to shift. Step by step, she learned to send messages, video call a cousin she hadn't seen in years, and even order groceries online. With each small win, her confidence returned. Her world opened back up. She realized that learning something new didn't erase who she was. It gave her more tools to live life on her own terms. That emotional shift, from fear and frustration to hope and empowerment, is something many older adults desperately need but rarely talk about. Because deep down, we all want to feel capable. We all want to stay in control of our lives. And adapting to change is the key to keeping that control. Beyond technology, refusing to adapt can also show up in the way we relate to younger generations. Maybe your niece is raising her kids differently than you did. Maybe your neighbor has a lifestyle you don't understand. Instead of judging or pulling away, try listening. Curiosity builds bridges, and those bridges keep us connected to the world and the people we love. It's also important to recognize that some of our old habits, while once useful, might not serve us anymore. For example, holding on to outdated health advice like avoiding all fats or skipping resistance training could actually hurt our well-being today. Science has evolved, and so must we. According to the American Heart Association, older adults who remain flexible and open to new information tend to experience lower rates of depression and greater satisfaction in life. And isn't that what we're all really after? A sense of joy, purpose, and confidence as we age, not confusion, resistance, or regret. So if you've ever caught yourself saying, "I can't learn that," or "That's just not me," I want you to stop and ask instead, "What if I could?" Because you can. It's never too late to learn, grow, and adapt. And every small step you take toward change is a big step toward staying independent, connected, and fulfilled. If this part of the message spoke to you, let us know in the comments. Hit the like button so more people can hear this truth. And please, share this video with someone you love. You might just be the reason they find the courage to embrace a new beginning. And once we start opening ourselves up to change, there's another critical area we can no longer afford to ignore: our finances. Mismanaging money in later life isn't always the result of carelessness. In fact, it often comes from a place of love, generosity, or simple habit. But the reality is, financial mistakes made in your 60s, 70s, or 80s can have long-lasting consequences that are difficult, sometimes impossible, to reverse. Many older adults assume that once they retire, they've crossed the financial finish line. They stop budgeting, they stop tracking expenses, and they treat their savings like a steady stream instead of a limited well. But here's the truth. Retirement doesn't end the need for money management. It increases it. Because unlike when you were working, there's no paycheck coming to cover mistakes. There's no overtime to catch up. According to the Employee Benefit Research Institute, nearly 40% of retirees say they underestimated how long they would live, and 1 in 3 runs out of savings completely within the first 20 years of retirement. That means even if you thought you had enough, unexpected medical bills, inflation, or helping family members financially can drain your savings far faster than you expected. Consider George, a 69-year-old who retired early with a modest pension and a small nest egg. At first, he felt proud. He had worked hard, paid off his mortgage, and wanted to enjoy his golden years without worry. He bought gifts for his grandkids, treated friends to dinner, and didn't think twice about little splurges here and there. But when his doctor diagnosed him with a heart condition and he faced out-of-pocket medical costs he hadn't planned for, reality hit hard. His savings began shrinking rapidly. And with no long-term care plan, he suddenly had to consider downsizing his home and leaning on relatives for help. It wasn't just the financial burden. It was the loss of dignity that hurt the most. No one wants to feel like a burden, and no one wants to spend their later years consumed by anxiety about money. But without planning, it happens more often than you think. According to a report by the National Council on Aging, over 80% of older adults are financially supporting adult children or grandchildren, often to their own detriment. It comes from love, yes, but it can also mean sacrificing your own security. And if that weren't hard enough, seniors are also one of the most targeted groups for financial scams. The Federal Trade Commission reports that adults over 60 lose more than $1 billion each year to fraud, with scammers posing as bank representatives, Medicare agents, or even pretending to be grandchildren in distress. The pain of being taken advantage of, especially when trust is broken, is something that can linger far longer than the loss of money itself. But it's not just about avoiding danger. It's about reclaiming control. Managing your finances in later life doesn't mean you have to be wealthy. It means being wise. It means creating a clear, honest picture of your monthly expenses, knowing what's essential, and cutting back on what's not. It means building a safety cushion for emergencies, setting boundaries with loved ones when needed, and being vigilant about who you trust with your personal information. And it also means recognizing that financial health is a part of overall well-being. Money stress can lead to sleepless nights, strained relationships, and even physical symptoms like headaches and fatigue. On the other hand, feeling secure even with modest means, brings peace, confidence, and the freedom to focus on what matters most. So if you've been avoiding looking at your bank statements, or you've been telling yourself that it'll all work out, now is the time to take a more honest approach. Not with fear, but with clarity and courage. Because just like with your body and your relationships, how you treat your finances today will shape your quality of life tomorrow. And you deserve a future that's not built on fear or regret, but on dignity, security, and the quiet comfort of knowing you're standing on solid ground. And just as financial stress can slowly erode your sense of stability, there's one final mistake that often goes unnoticed until the damage is already done: giving up on personal growth and losing your sense of purpose. This may be the most emotionally devastating of all, because it doesn't always look like a mistake. It often begins quietly, wrapped in the belief that after retirement, after raising children, after decades of working and giving, there's nothing more to strive for. Days blur together, routines grow stale, and slowly, the spark that once lit up your mind and heart begins to fade. You stop reading, stop learning, stop dreaming. Not because you don't care, but because you've convinced yourself that your time for growth is over. But the truth is, the need for purpose doesn't end with age. It deepens. According to research published by the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, older adults with a strong sense of purpose in life were significantly less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease or suffer from physical disabilities. Another study by the Rush University Medical Center found that people with high purpose lived longer, even when accounting for chronic illnesses. Your brain still has the power to learn. Your heart still has the capacity to hope. And your life still holds meaning, not in the past, but in this very moment. Let me tell you a story about Evelyn, an 81-year-old woman who spent most of her life caring for others. After her husband passed away and her best friend moved into assisted living, she found herself waking up each day unsure of why she even got out of bed. She spent hours in front of the television, not because she enjoyed it, but because it filled the silence. She began forgetting things. Her appetite faded. She felt invisible. One day, while cleaning out an old closet, she found her late husband's camera and a scrapbook of their travels. That night, for the first time in years, she opened her laptop and looked up a local photography class for beginners. She signed up, not knowing if she'd be the oldest in the room, not knowing if she'd fit in, not knowing if she could even learn something new. But what she found was not just a hobby, it was a lifeline. She began capturing images of her neighborhood, then writing stories to go with them. She printed them, framed them, and gave them as gifts. Her mind felt sharper. Her soul felt alive again. She had something to look forward to, something that made her feel useful, creative, and connected. And most importantly, she stopped seeing herself as someone whose best days were behind her. She became someone who still had something to give. Because she did. And so do you. The tragedy isn't in aging, it's in believing that aging means you're finished, that there's no more room to explore, no more joy to chase, no more wisdom to share. But purpose can be found in so many places: in mentoring younger generations, in learning a new skill, in volunteering, in gardening, in writing your story, in praying for others, in simply showing up with kindness. When we stop using our minds, our memories fade. When we stop challenging ourselves, our confidence shrinks. And when we stop seeking meaning, depression and hopelessness can quietly take root. But when we engage our minds and hearts, when we give ourselves something worth waking up for, everything changes. We become more present, more alert, more fulfilled. Purpose doesn't have to be grand, it just has to be real. Something that stirs your spirit and reminds you that your presence matters. Because it does. Deeply. You are not finished. Your voice still carries weight. Your story is still being written. And the world still needs the wisdom only you can offer. Now that we've explored these 5 quiet but powerful mistakes: neglecting your health, withdrawing from others, resisting change, mismanaging finances, and giving up on purpose, it's time to take a gentle but honest look inward. Which of these patterns have quietly crept into your life? So, which one feels familiar? The truth is, growing older isn't just about counting the years. It's about making choices that shape what those years look and feel like. And the most hopeful part? It's never too late to change direction. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Small, consistent steps. Taking a walk each morning, reaching out to a friend, learning something new, making a simple budget, or rediscovering a passion can create a ripple effect that brings more joy, peace, and independence than you thought possible. Aging is not a sentence. It's a season, rich with opportunity to become wiser, stronger, and more deeply connected than ever before. You deserve a life that still feels meaningful, filled with curiosity, confidence, and care. And you have the power to shape that life starting today. If this video spoke to you in any way, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear what part hit home and how you plan to take even one small step forward. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe with the bell turned on so you never miss a chance to grow, learn, and stay inspired. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. We appreciate you, we believe in you, and we'll see you in the next video.